found Lot's wife.
This is believed to be the actual remains of Lot's wife, found near the Dead Sea.
Once reigned upon a city of shadows, leaving only salt and silence in its wake. Today, in the dead heat of Israel's desert, a pillar stands, alone, watching, waiting. Is it the silent witness of judgment past, or a warning for what is to come? They said Lot's wife turned to salt for one fatal glance back, but what if that pillar still holds the echo of a scream, waiting to awaken us before fire falls again? A cry once tore the sky, tearing through clouds heavy with sulfur and flame. Cities of laughter and corruption, Sodom and Gomorrah, became smoke rising to heaven. Their gardens turned to dust, their revelry silenced by ash. Only salt and silence remained. In that furnace of judgment, a family fled with trembling hearts, feet tearing through the earth's last green as pillars of smoke swallowed the horizon. But a woman turned, eyes straining for what was lost, longing for the comfort of the past. In that single breath of hesitation, the heavens answered. She became salt, still, silent, forever gazing backward. But did the earth forget her? Or does the earth remember the cry of disobedience, preserving it in the winds that sweep over the Dead Sea, the scent of sulfur still clinging to the air? There, on the edge of a lifeless sea, stands a figure carved of salt. Wind carves her cloak. Sun cracks her frame. She stands watch over a land where nothing grows, where water suffocates life rather than sustains it. Local shepherds called her Lot's wife. Roman historians whispered they saw her. Josephus wrote of a pillar that stood in his day, a witness to fire that once fell. Mount Sodom rises beside her, not of rock, but of salt, a mountain that bleeds minerals into the earth. Caves of salt beneath it whisper in the dark, the slow drip of ancient water carving out tunnels no light has touched. Did she choose this place of silence? Or did the land rise around her, preserving her form as a testimony to every generation that passes, refusing to forget the warning etched in her silence? The Bible does not speak lightly of the Dead Sea's salt. It was the place of judgment, the end of gardens that once bloomed like Eden. Genesis speaks of fire falling from heaven, and the land became a place of salt pits and wastelands. Where there was life, salt remained. Salt that could cleanse, salt that could preserve, but salt that could also curse the earth, refusing to allow growth again. In prophetic symbols, salt is covenant, salt is preservation, salt is reminder. What does it mean that a pillar of salt stands where fire once fell? Is it covenant? Is it curse? Or is it both, standing quietly in the salted wind, reminding every eye that passes, do not look back when God calls you forward? Beneath Mount Sodom lies the Malham Cave, the longest salt cave in the world, veins of translucent mineral weaving through the earth like frozen rivers of tears. Light dances in the crystals, the air tastes sharp with minerals, the silence is thick, as if the earth itself is holding its breath. Archaeologists walk these tunnels, measuring the slow work of time, mapping the hidden bones of the mountain. But what stories do these walls tell? Stories etched in salt long before the first tools touched them. Are these rivers of salt the veins of the earth weeping for the judgment it once witnessed? Do these caverns beneath the pillar above still echo with the scream of a woman who looked back when heaven demanded forward? Nearly 2,000 years ago, Josephus walked the land of Judea, recording the memory of a people who would not forget their God. He wrote of wars, kings, and prophets. But among those stories, he mentioned a lone pillar. Lot's wife, he claimed, still stood in his day, a witness to the judgment that fell upon Sodom. Was it only legend, or did the Roman roads lead travelers past a shape in the salt that forced them to remember that moment of divine wrath and human hesitation? And if it was there in Josephus's day, standing quiet against the salted winds, what does it mean that it still stands today, unmoved by empires that rose and fell, by travelers who came and went, by centuries that passed like shadows? Salt has no voice, yet it testifies. It tells of oceans that dried, of tears that fell, of covenants sealed by sacrifice. In the wilderness, Israel received salt in their offerings, a symbol of a covenant that would not decay. Lot's wife in her silence is a covenant too. She is the reminder of a command given, do not look back. She is the frozen image of hesitation when God's judgment was falling, the embodiment of longing for what God has condemned. Salt is the last word of the Dead Sea. It crusts the hills, glitters in the harsh light, and forms into pillars that resemble the shape of a woman looking back, forever trapped in that single act of disobedience. What if the salt is still speaking, and we have not listened? Today, tourists stand beneath the harsh light of Israel's desert, cameras in hand, lenses pointed at a salt pillar they were told is Lot's wife. They laugh, they photograph, they move on. But the land does not laugh. The air smells of sulfur, the salt stings the skin, the silence weighs heavy. Drones capture the pillar from above, but they cannot measure the story that hangs in the air around it. Archaeologists measure and map, but their instruments cannot record the sound of judgment that once rolled through this valley. For those with eyes to see, the pillar is not a curiosity, it is a warning, it is a call. Do you see a rock formation, or do you see the echo of a command from heaven? Do not look back. Jesus himself spoke of Lot's wife, reminding his followers with a single sentence. Remember Lot's wife. No context needed, no explanation given, a name we do not know, but a story that endures. In the middle of teaching about the end of days, about judgment and the coming kingdom, Jesus pointed back to this woman whose glance became her grave. Why does the Lord of all prophecy pause to point at a pillar of salt standing in a desert? Perhaps because in the days of fire, when judgment approaches, the greatest danger is not persecution, but hesitation. Not what comes ahead, but what we refuse to leave behind. What are we looking back at while heaven is calling us forward? The Dead Sea remains, a wound upon the earth, the lowest point on the surface of the planet. Its waters cannot give life. Its shores are lined with salt and silence. The land remembers what happened here. Every wave that laps the salted shores, every wind that sweeps the mineral-laden air, every grain of salt that gathers at your feet is a testament that judgment is real, that the commands of God are not suggestions, and that mercy often requires us to walk away from what we once loved. The pillar that stands is more than a geological formation. It is a marker in the earth's memory, a scar on the landscape, a signpost for the souls who walk near it. What does the land remember that we have chosen to forget? And so it stands, tall, narrow, and alone, its shadow stretching across the barren dust, its silence heavy with memory. Perhaps it is not Lot's wife. Perhaps it is only salt and wind, shaped by time and chance. Or perhaps it is precisely what it appears to be, a reminder carved by the breath of God, a monument to a moment when the heavens fell, and a single glance backward became eternal. The pillar waits, it watches, it remembers. The fire once fell, the pillar remained. The warning endures, and the heavens are not done speaking.